Responsible stewardship of Christian doctrines. One of the attributes of the Pauline epistles to individuals like Timothy and Titus is the pastoral approach to teach, to instruct, and to mentor new or younger generations of church leaders. Though it has a particular audience, the lessons that Paul is trying to give to Timothy are equally applicable to each and every individual who wants to mature in their walk of faith and later advance in a more challenging role in the body of Christ. Little by little, let us help ourselves in understanding the many important points richly included in this letter to Timothy. 1 Timothy chapter 1, verses 3 and 4. As I urged you when I was going to Macedonia, remain at Ephesus so that you may charge certain persons not to teach any different doctrine, nor to devote themselves to myths and endless genealogies, which promote speculations rather than the stewardship from God that is by faith. The chain of commands. When it comes to leadership, the chain of command is quite important, though the phrase chain of command refers more to the bearing of responsibility. The essence of this is to understand the responsible exercise of giving commands or instructions from the higher responsible person to another person or group of people under his duty of care. In this very case, Paul is reminding Timothy of the purpose of his stay in Ephesus. This is the command or the apostolic charge he gave to Timothy in order to perform a very specific task in that church in Ephesus. The Bible is clear when it comes to bearing responsibilities, which may cause either a positive or negative impact to the whole group when neglected. All brethren also need to be responsible in every charge given among us by our leaders in our assembly, especially on the very specific tasks that are being assigned to us. From a letter to the Galatians, Paul has said, "For each one has to bear his own load." Galatians 6, verse 4. This is not referring to simply being mindful of your own business, but more to being responsible at any given tasks, purposes, activities, or responsibilities to accomplish. Therefore, it is one thing to be responsible as a member of the body of Christ, and it is another thing to be responsible as a leader of a certain group or congregation. There is this chain of command that makes the group leader accountable to each and every responsibility distributed within the group, including himself. What does it mean? That even though the group leader is not the assigned person for a task as it was delegated to members, any neglect of the member to his task makes the leader accountable for its outcome, its impact, and its consequences. Therefore, if you think your task is heavy, the leader's load is heavier, for he is on the top of the chain and pulling everything below or holds after his piece. Stewardship of Christian doctrines. The primary purpose of sending Timothy to Ephesus is to preserve the foundation laid by the apostles, the first-century leaders of the Christian churches in this country. You will notice that the words that were articulated here by the Apostle Paul are not unusual in our modern day and age. Paul has said, and I quote, "You may charge certain persons not to teach any different doctrine, nor to devote themselves to myths and endless genealogies, which promote speculations." This statement for me is quite interesting because the current Christian churches are no longer interested in preserving Christian doctrines that are truthfully biblical, historical, and foundational to the roots of Christianity. This is not new in our days alone, but a major problem in the first-century Christian churches as well. COVID-19, one of the latest historic events in our lifetime, became a breeding ground for many conspiracies that led to the destruction of many Christian churches. Any faithful leaders of the church have to battle misinformation, fallacies, and heresies that spread easily, and even more easily in our modern world due to the advancement of technologies. But as Jesus said in the Olivet Discourse, "But the one who endures to the end will be saved." Matthew 24, verse 13. Teaching other doctrines other than what has been laid by the apostles is strictly prohibited in the early churches. Therefore, a proper stewardship of our truthful biblical, historical, and foundational Christian doctrines is not just a responsibility of the leaders of the church, but also of every individual member of it. In the same letter to the Galatians, Paul instructed them to bear each other's burdens, Galatians 6, verse 2, before saying each should carry their own load. Galatians 6, verse 4. But the purpose of those statements differs. This time, Galatians 6, verse 2 directs the general responsibility to each other in fulfilling the law of Christ, that includes to preserve his word and abide in it. The strong should help the weak. Galatians 6, verses 1 and 2. Brothers, if anyone is caught in any transgression, You who are spiritual should restore him in a spirit of gentleness. Keep watch on yourself, lest you too be tempted. Bear one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ. The strong should help the weak. The one who is spiritual should restore one who is in transgression through the spirit of gentleness. In this way, you both bear the yoke of others by your correction, rebuke, and love, but also preserve the biblical truths passed on by the apostles. Have a blessed midweek to everyone. God bless us all.